Good afternoon, everyone. It's Anifa Menon from hearthealthbrainhealth.com, encouraging healthy grieving and mindful actions. Today, my contemplative time has been all about change and adaptability because the consistent thing about life is that we're all going through change, right? We know that. So we know that change is the only constant. And then it's all about the adaptability to change that makes all the difference, right? So we hear about the terms like resilience, this person is resilient, but oftentimes that is reflecting the adaptability that a person has to the changes in their lives. So I found a couple of or a few quotes that really touched on what I was contemplating because I thought, wow, when I help people with grief recovery, grief or loss is always related to change, right? So it could be a change in relationship, it could be a change because of a death, it could be a change because of a move. So that's loss and grief when I'm working with grief recovery. And then it's adapting to those changes. And when I work with brain retraining, it's also adapting our minds to how we think about things that we might normally react to, but now we are choosing to respond to with brain retraining. And then I finally look at the evolution towards soul growth, right? So our connection with our soul or our higher source. And this is also a change, right? Because we move from thinking with our minds into thinking from a higher space, which is coming through our minds in this form. But that would then be the soul energy work that I work with too. And I thought, wow, it's all very consistent in terms of change and adaptability, change and adaptability. So these were the quotes that I came up with today. I came across first something by the Rig Veda or in the Rig Veda. And this quotation says, the scholar who contemplates intelligently is considered great. The scholar who contemplates intelligently is considered great. And, I think that we're all scholars, we're all learning. And then if you're contemplating the things that you're learning, and I will definitely be making another video just about contemplation, but if you understand that as we're learning, to truly understand what we're learning and make it part of ourselves, it is really assimilating the information into our life experience, right? And this is how we work with change and adapting to change and then adapting ourselves. Because at the end of the day, it's all about knowing ourselves and knowing how we respond or how we choose to respond or if we can respond. And often that comes from knowledge itself, right? How are we using the knowledge for our lives is what's most important. And so the next quotation that I came across is actually in the Katho Upanishad. And this particular quotation says, by standing still, we overtake those who are running. By standing still, we overtake those who are running. And remember that my baseline for working with anything that I work with people is things like mindfulness and meditation. And both of those things require us to stand still for a moment, to take notice. Sometimes with mindfulness, it could be about noticing our own body experience. Sometimes with meditation, it's about not thinking as we're just clearing our mind of thoughts, right? So, or at least of latching onto certain thoughts or intentions to do something in that time of meditation is to be free of thought. And mindfulness is to be very consciously aware of our thoughts, right? And so today I would love for you to sit for 5 minutes and see, is there one space, one area? It could be related to work, it might be related to a relationship, it might be how you interact with friends. But see, is there a space that something has changed and you notice that you have adapted yourself through learning about yourself? So it could be how you respond to someone who has passed away. How is it that you're looking at that today than you might have looked at it 5 years ago, right? Or when you first found out about a change, let's say whether in a job or a career or a position, and then how you're adapting to it now, and see, are you adapting? Because there are a lot of people who are not so much adapting, which is the areas that I'm working with, right? This is what I see regularly, that a lot of people are going through various aspects in their lives. And when we say those who are running, you notice how busy everyone is, right? That everyone's got a million things to do in a day. So they're running from one thing to another, running from one thought to another, running from one comment to another to another. And whether those comments or thoughts or actions are actually being thought about or acted on doesn't really matter. Lots of people are running. And if we can still the mind or still our lives, if we can just sit down, if we can just take a few breaths, if we can just become mindful, that's a wonderful awareness for you to have about yourself. And if you notice that you're not able to do this or not doing this, this is the time to think about why not? Why not take even 5 minutes today after this video to be still in this moment and reflect on something about change and your adaptability? Just one thing. Okay. And then finally, I want to finish with a quote by Bruce Lee. And he said some really great things. So here's a quotation I really liked about my contemplation direction today. This quotation says, all fixed set patterns are incapable of adaptability or pliability. The truth is outside of all fixed patterns. Interesting, right? So again, all fixed set patterns are incapable of adaptability or pliability. The truth is outside of all fixed patterns. So do you know that when we're looking at truth and we really think we know it, when we know it, we don't, right? We suddenly learn something else and we think, oh, wow, okay, now I know it, right? Or we understand something in a particular way and then we think about it again. It's like, oh, I could see it this way. And so that expands our awareness of truth. But it does require a bit of adaptability and pliability, right? Of our own minds or our own actions or our own fixed patterns. And so I would love for you to think about this today for 5 minutes after this video about your own fixed and adaptable patterns that you're noticing in yourself, and just think about one area that probably you have a little bit more adaptability, or an area that you might recognize that you'd like to have adaptability. I wish you a fantastic day ahead, and I hope you remember, transform your mind and transform your life. Have a great day, everyone.